Alright, so the tests were obviously not perfect. And it was against an MD, to be fair, which is a pretty small target. But I think the results kind of speak for themselves in terms of just generally what it means. And that is that the recoil implant for Minigun is incredibly valuable. Now, this chart here is from the data that I pulled from the footage, and you can see that the recoil, with the recoil implant, you don't lose a lot of damage, but with the damage implant, it scales way up, like exponentially, rather than it's a bit more linear with the recoil implant. So the difference is massive. As you might expect, there is a point where the damage implant does better. That's because the recoil implant, it just reduces the spread. So if you're basically point blank and all of your shots are hitting anyway, then having reduced spread isn't actually going to do anything for you. So yeah, there's a point where the damage implant does better, and then around the 37 meter mark, at least for MD, it's probably somewhat similar for other mechs. It's probably like at most 45 meters for larger mechs, I would say. So between 35-45 meters, depending on the enemy, is the point where the recoil and damage implant, the lines intersect, and then the recoil implant ends up taking over. So that one ends up doing more. It ends up carrying more than the damage implant does. Now, obviously, they stack, right? So it's always a good idea to have damage implant on, because no matter what range you're at, the damage implant is helping you deal more damage. So this chart was more or less to say, is it possible to get away with not using the recoil implant? And I would have to say no. I would have to say definitely not, because 35 to 45 meters is not very far. Most of the time, you're using Minigun at a lot longer range than that. I tried some matches without the recoil implant on something like Surge, right? I tried it on Surge, which is, you know, it should, of all the mechs that are out there, it should be one of the ones that's able to pull it off, because it can get really close easily. You EMP enemies, and then you can just hit them point blank with it. I could tell that there was damage missing, even when I was point blank. And I think part of it is just imperfect aim. You end up missing some shots even when you're really close. But the difference is very noticeable. I would say that the majority of minigun fights happen at around 60 meters, which means if you're going to get any implant, you're going to want recoil. Like, probably more important than reload, probably more important than damage. Having all three is obviously fantastic, but if you can only have one, personally, I would choose recoil. But otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Appreciate y'all. Take care.